Welcome to another edition of Kiwanis Conversations. My name is John Mayos for the Kiwanis Club of Beverly. People ask, what is Kiwanis? Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. I'm very pleased to have with me two guests from a great community organization right here in Beverly, Beverly Bootstraps. And I have with me today two very important people. And nice looking, too, I got to tell you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Heather, thank you very much for being with me. Sue, thank you very much for being on Kiwanis Conversations. For those of you who don't know, Heather is the Director of Donor Relations for Beverly Bootstraps, and Sue Gabriel is the Executive Director. So this is kind of a special day for Kiwanis Conversations. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Beverly Bootstraps, every time of the year is an important time for Beverly Bootstraps because you're so involved with what goes on in the community. And that's what I'd like to talk about today. A couple of the things that are really staples of Bootstraps and therefore the community, and ways that people can volunteer and give. Does that sound okay?
Oh,
we love to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm loving it because every time I go down Rantoul Street, when I can kind of navigate the road, it's been under construction forever, but I see the beautiful new facility that you have, at least the front side of it, and then go the other side and see the rest of it. You must love it.
We're thrilled. We're
Tell
thrilled.
me about it.
It's so exciting to be in space that works so incredibly well for the needs of our clients. Right. And our staff and our volunteers are now so much more able to provide the services that we do really well, but that we found challenging in the other space that we had. So it's phenomenal. We've pretty much tripled the square footage and been able to really design the building for the specific uses that we needed it to do. So it's very exciting.
And I got to tell you, every time I went into the old facility, I would always want to get an ice cream because for anybody growing up in Beverly, that was Whitehead's convenience store, and they always sold ice cream in the back of the store. You might not even know that because you're not that old.
Well, I try not to at least act too old.
You've read the book,
but
right?
We've certainly heard many a times that story.
But it was so small, and it was nice for a convenience store, but for the operation that you folks have, I always was surprised at the things that you could pump out of that small space.
It was a small space for over 360,000 pounds of food on an annual basis.
And you were everywhere with that food. You know, I saw some of the shelving that you had in the lower areas, and then the main floor.
The garage.
You did a great job.
Our favorite thing was we insulated the garage. We put a walk-in cooler out there. We were very creative, but we ran out of options.
We did. I know. So the new space is just so much more special. What are some of the highlights you love of the new space?
No stairs for the food to be moved. We go right in and we stay on the same level. The elevator is one of my favorite things because it means anyone who comes into our building can access our programs. That's huge. A waiting area that is large enough so that none of the people that come to use our services feel like they're in the way. And unfortunately, our old facility, sometimes that happened. And certainly if you come to our building and you need our help, we don't want you to feel like you're in the way. We want you to feel like you're welcome and that you have a nice place to wait. And I think maybe my very favorite place is the place for the children to wait.
And I think the other thing that's kind of fun and important is, why do people come into your space? And this is probably most important. We're talking about, like, everybody knows what Bootstraps is. Everybody does know what Bootstraps is, but for somebody who maybe just has moved into Beverly, give us the brief history. Who wants to do that?
Well, we are a full-service social service agency. People can come to us whether they're in need of food, whether they're in need of seasonal items. We'll get to it, I'm sure, in a bit, but our adoptive family program that's coming up, our Thanksgiving meal program. We distribute backpacks to children in need during the summer months. We help send children to camp in the summer months. We break out our services in two kind of major areas. Basic needs, which is coming to the food pantry, maybe participating in a mobile market that happens between June and October. If you're a family in Beverly, that means participating in our summer food program that happens during the 8 weeks when kids are off from school and need more food in the house, when oftentimes they rely on free and reduced lunch or breakfast at school. It's also our case management services, where we'll sit down with clients one-on-one and really work with them to figure out what is it that they need help with to help them get on the path to sustainability. That's kind of our basic services. in addition to that, we have our education services. That's more the path to sustainability, where we can work with them in ESOL. If they're not native to English, we'll work with them and teach them the language.
Now, ESOL, that abbreviation changed, didn't it?
It did. It's English speakers of other languages.
I like that. Okay.
And so if you're in that class, we'll work with you. The goal is to hopefully then get you graduated into HiSET, which for those of you that don't know is the high school equivalency exam in Massachusetts. Formerly has been called GED.
Right.
Now it's HiSET. It may change again in the near future.
I'm glad they picked HiSET instead of LowSET. Yeah, right.
Well,
Yeah, right.
they're
Makes
looking
sense.
up, yes. So, we get you in that class, and then hopefully we get you to college and career readiness.
Right.
And that can be as simple as sitting down and just talking about how to do a job search, maybe helping to build a resume. It could be looking at North Shore Community College or other certificate programs to see what would it that would work best for you, to put you on your path to what's next for you, with the goal of increasing your wages and hopefully someday being more sustainable than you were when you came to see us.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
She does a great job.
Yeah.
I know. You can be host.
We'll leave that to you. You're the host.
Well, with the new facility that you have and the great space that you have for food, something that really hit me was that you have a mobile market. How does that work? Give us a little more detail on the mobile market.
So the mobile market was born, gosh, 4 or 5 years ago, I guess now, which is amazing. And we have to credit our sister organization up in Gloucester, Open Door, who actually had brought that model in and tried it out, and it was working very well for them. And so they allowed us to copy what they were doing very well. And it is a program that we take fresh fruits and vegetables and we take them out into the areas of the community where we know there are folks that are having trouble paying for their groceries. And so it's like a farmer's market. That's just what it looks like when we bring it out, but nobody has to pay. And so it's fresh produce for a number of weeks during the summer, and then hopefully they like it so well that they start to come to our food pantry where we always offer our fresh produce.
That's terrific. I hear an awful lot whenever you study the food pantry situations. You hear about food security. What does that mean when I keep hearing that? What does that mean?
So food security is when you know when and where your next meal will come from. Many of us probably in the studio know that we're going home to have a meal that we'll cook, that we know that the food is in the house. Or
I think I'm coming to your house. Wait a minute.
Wait a second. I'm going to call home and see what we're having.
Just put an extra plate down. I'm all set.
So, we know where that food's going to come from. For families who are food insecure, they might have had breakfast this morning or lunch today, but they have no idea when their next meal will be, how it will be, or where it will come from. It could be tonight. It could be that they're not going to eat tonight, and it'll be tomorrow, but they're not sure how that is going to happen. So the food insecurity rates in Essex County are pretty high. They're about 9%. And we serve about 10% of the population of Beverly. So we're not serving everyone in Beverly who's food insecure, because we do have lots of working families who are coming to us. It's hard for them to make ends meet, but there's certainly plenty of people out there that are food insecure. And whether it's they figure out to go to one of the meals in Beverly, one of the churches that are hosting
Beverly
meals.
has an awful lot of programs like that, which is terrific.
That may be a way that they solve it. It may be that they're coming to our pantry as a way to solve it, or one of the other pantries that are also in the community. But it is a very real problem that they just don't know when and where they'll eat again.
For anybody just tuning in, you're watching another edition of Kiwanis Conversations. My name is John Mayos for the Kiwanis Club of Beverly, and I'm pleased to have with me today Sue Gabriel. She's the Executive Director for Bootstraps, and also Heather Johnston. She's the Director of Donor Relations. I like to think of you as like the Chief of Donor Relations, though, really. I think, like you're in charge of all that. That's really
Well, I
kinda
help
cool.
out as much as it's a team effort, so we wouldn't be able to do it without a team of people and a team of volunteers, that's for sure.
But we're really glad she goes out and encourages people to help us. It's a good thing.
You got to have that.
It's a good thing.
I think in the second part of our program, I want to talk about where your money's come from and how, if anybody happens to have a bag of money they want to give, where would they do that?
Yes,
We'll take it.
absolutely.
We can do that.
Happy to have it.
On the food security program, though, that I think it's great what we're doing here in Beverly. And shameless plug for Kiwanis, we do a Thanksgiving dinner in cooperation with the First Baptist Church every year. So anybody can come down for a Thanksgiving dinner. We call it a community meal, so that it's great to do. But between the churches and the programs that you're doing, hopefully anybody who feels insecure about where their next meal is coming from has that little bit more comfort or safety net. Do you feel that's the case in Beverly? And if not, why?
I do think that that's the case. I oftentimes say, I actually had this conversation with a father of one of my daughter's friends yesterday who also happens to be on the police force. And he was asking me how our numbers were and our visits. And I said, well, they're up about 100 visits a month in the food pantry in the new space. I said, it's unfortunate that they are, but it's fortunate that we are here because not every community is like Beverly and has such an organization to provide that safety net. So although we wish the numbers weren't as high and weren't growing, we really are fortunate that any one of us could find us in that position at any time, and Beverly Bootstraps would be there to help us.
And food safety or the food pantry, that's not all you do at Bootstraps.
No.
I'm truly amazed at the things that come out of that space, and it's so nice that you're now in with your thrift store.
Yes.
It's great. I love that you've expanded that.
Yes.
I went in to check it out, and actually it looks like you've got a lot more room for some donations. People can bring more things, I think.
We certainly appreciate donations, but we really want people to come shop.
Come by. Okay. Yeah, come and put your money down on the table. Yeah,
Bring a bag for us,
Yeah,
and then go home with a new bag.
Yeah.
Really, the treasures that you can find there are just amazing, and so we really encourage. I think the community understands that we're a great place to drop the donations off, but please take a minute to walk through.
You know, when I go to Shaw's, Market Basket, when I go to Market Basket, they give me a little cup of coffee when I shop.
Yes.
Could you arrange that? I mean, I'd like
you
to
know,
have,
for you, John, we certainly could.
And a personal shopper. Yes.
You know, there are some great things in your thrift store.
Absolutely.
I'm amazed at the things that people donate, even if you're looking for some trinket or a set of dishes or even a table.
We have
got
so
everything.
much great artwork right now. The furniture that we have is phenomenal, and we have a boutique area. So if you like brand name clothing, please come check it out.
Well,
And men's clothes, we have plenty of men's clothes, John.
all right, good.
Yeah,
I'm
some
liking
good
that.
ties usually.
If you can believe it, we're about halfway through our show already.
Wow.
And I just want to remind people that you're watching another edition of Kiwanis Conversations. My name is John Mayos for the Kiwanis Club of Beverly, and we'll be back with just a moment, right after this word for Kiwanis.
Kids show so much creativity in one little finger. Of course, where's that little finger been? Even if they slip, we're here to catch them.
Kids need Kiwanis. If you happen to know the internet, if you go hashtag Kids Need Kiwanis, you're going to find an awful lot of information about Kiwanis. I hope you enjoyed those first-time viewing for those new PSAs for Kiwanis. I just am privileged that Kiwanis is spending so much money to invest in getting the word out about what the community service organization is doing. Thankfully, we don't have to pay airtime for those things. We get them on community access television. Wasn't that smart? Yeah.
Smart, smart. Good job for a nonprofit.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Sue and Heather, it's great to have you here from Bootstraps, and we've been talking an awful lot about what some of the services are that you do, and I know you have some others. We talked about the food pantry, we talked about food security, and we talked about your thrift shop. But there are others.
Well, let's talk about kids.
Let's talk about kids.
You just showed a kids spot.
After-school programs
We
for
have
kids.
after-school
Phenomenal.
programs, and the whole idea with any of the programs that involve our youth is we'd like to give an opportunity to those in the community that are in our programs that are youth. A chance for a path that leads them to self-sustainability. So education is one of the quickest ways to get there. And so we understand that if a child is struggling, this might be the opportunity to get them to a place where their future is just more clear-cut, that they can get to that place where they can take care of themselves, take care of their families and their future, and we'd love to see that. But we also believe in things like they need the backpacks full of the school supplies.
Those are great. Yeah,
so
sure.
that they can have a great school year. If they don't have the right things and they don't have the pen and the paper, it's really hard for them to compete with the peers that are in their class. And likewise, our holiday gift program, it's the way that the community gives a hug to a kid. And you know what? We all need a hug. And we certainly don't want a child to be going back into school after the holidays and be the only child or one of the few children in the classroom that hasn't had that experience that their peers have had. So all of those programs just combine to help our youth move along that great path.
I think that if you look at the Adopt a Family program that you have, it's a great way for any business to get involved.
It is.
I know
Yes.
even our Kiwanis clubs, even our Kiwanis club gets involved with adopting a family. Our company, the company I work at,
Yes.
also does that. Blue Vase Marketing.
Yes.
You probably know
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
And you know, we enjoy it as a company. The employees get together and do something. They can all give a little.
Yes.
And make an impact. We feel as though we have adopted that family.
Yes,
It's a
it's that
great-
holiday
great
spirit.
program.
Yes.
Now, if somebody needed services in Beverly, let's say they're watching this show, how do they go about getting them? What do they do?
So if someone's finds themselves in need of services, we would encourage them to call the office.
Okay.
They would call into us and ask to perhaps set up a meeting with a case manager. If they know that their immediate need is the food pantry, they can come in
Just come
and
in.
they
Okay.
can do a registration. They would call the office just to double check on what day it is. There's certain days and certain hours, and they would be told when registration is. They'd come in, they'd get a chance to sit down, register for the food pantry, and leave that day with the food that they need.
Oh, that's awesome.
From there, they could then talk with a case manager, sit down and figure out what else can we do to help them. Do they have a child that could possibly benefit from after school? Could they themselves benefit from being in that high set exam?
Sure, 'cause you have
to
adult
get their high
education
school-
program,
Yes.
too.
Right. Absolutely, so that they can achieve their high school degree. Is it something of budget needs? Do they need to sit down and talk with someone about budgeting and get some tips on that and figure out how to apply for some SNAP benefits for food assistance? Or at this time of year, a big one is heating assistance, applying for some heating assistance so that they can make their homes warmer during those winter months. But contact us at the office, definitely call to set up a meeting time with the case manager and to figure out what day it is and what time the food pantry is open.
Now, we know that, of course, all that information is on your website, which is beverlybootstraps.org. Terrific.
Absolutely.
But let's hypothetically say somebody wanted the phone number. 978
978-927-1561.
1561. So, see, I'm going to write that down. 978-927-927
1561.
1561. See, you have to write it down or you
It's
forget.
true.
You
It's
know?
totally true.
So no, that's terrific. And of course, all that information is on your website.
It is.
I also, as I looked at your website, I saw some information about tax credits. Tell me about that a little bit.
We've run our earned income tax credit program in the past, where we assist folks and we actually have volunteers who help them fill out their tax forms. There's an income requirement. And to be honest with you, John, the program's a little bit in flux this year.
Okay.
We are very hopeful we're going to be able to provide it again this year. My suggestion would be if someone's interested in it, call us in January. We've got a number of community partners that we're working very diligently with to try to make sure that's available to folks. But we'll have a lot more information as the year progresses.
So the most of our program so far has been talking about what Bootstraps is doing in the community to serve the community. Now, the community is also out here to serve you in some ways, and we can do that by
Thank goodness they do it.
donating money and donating our services and donating
think
things
the
we don't
director
need anymore.
of donor relations
I'm going
should
to call
take
her
this
the
one.
chief of
The
donor
chief of
relations.
donor
I
relations
like
should
that.
take
Does it
this
come with a
one.
raise? We hope so.
We'll have to talk to the finance committee about that.
Donors want it.
So there's a lot of fun things you do. You guys have fun. Bootstraps has fun.
We do.
I like that.
Try to.
Absolutely.
Your best chef program, your boots and
Banjos.
thing.
Yes.
I mean, those are phenomenal things, but there are other ways.
I think the thing that makes us unique, and this actually came up at a recent chamber event that we hosted, earlier this fall, is that there are so many different ways for people to give back to us. And it was actually one of the chamber members worded it as, it's not just a place to write a check to, although we do like checks and write checks
a lot.
But it is a place where you can write the check, you can do the Adopt a Family program and go shopping and provide holiday gifts for kids. You can go shopping for backpacks and all of those supplies and provide those to kids. You can host a food drive, a fund drive, or a clothing drive, or personal care items, and give back by donating shampoos or
Right, a lot of people don't think about that.
Or,
That's right, the little things.
all of those sorts of things that you can do as a family and use it to teach with your kids about how to give back, with
What
your
a great
book
concept.
club, with your garden club, with some of the people around the office or as a neighborhood. So there's multiple different ways that people can give back. The other way is volunteering. We would not be where we are today if it weren't for our volunteers.
So true.
Volunteers last year contributed over 15,000 hours,
Wow.
which if we had to pay that out would be over $440,000. And we don't have that in the budget. So we do rely on volunteers, whether they're tutors in education, answering phones at the front desk, handing out food at Mobile Market or the pantry, whether they're doing special projects for us. They're helping in every way that they can. They're in the thrift shop, pricing things, hanging things on the thrift shop floor, working with shoppers up there. So just about in every program you'll find a volunteer opportunity.
You know, I think when I was going through some pictures that you left for me to take a look at earlier, there were a few pictures of the thrift shop. Maybe we can see some of those.
Oh,
I
that'd be
know
great.
that we'd like to see some of them because David Sokol from Wicked Local took them.
Yes.
Want to make sure he gets credit
They
for
did a
them.
great
But
job.
maybe we can see this. Now, this looks like a
This is a
teaching program
classroom.
with adults
Yep.
and children. What else do we have here going on? Let's maybe almost a little slideshow. We can do this. This looks like a play area. I'm
This
gonna
is
love this
actually a
part, right?
dedicated babysitting room, which is something we did not have. We had babysitting. It was a small little alcove in the previous building. This is a room dedicated to the children of our clients coming in for adult education.
And it's got a window and everything.
And
That's
there's
lovely.
also what you can't see is a secure locked door. We take the security
point.
very seriously. They're locked so that the kids are in there with staff and or some volunteers. They're right down the hall from their parents, safe and secure, but their parents are able to go to class and learn and know their children are taken
Let's
care
see
of.
our next picture. Oh, and yes,
And
looks like the beautiful outside.
The outside, which of
And-
course we have to credit to
Yeah.
what we see on the picture, Ralph Bates, and being one of our many, many donors who made this possible, but of course who the building is named after.
And I noticed that there's no snow on the ground. So
Well,
Thank
thankfully,
goodness.
that's a good
we
picture.
hope that's the case all year round.
Let's see. There we are. Here's the client meeting room.
And one of the things to note about the client meeting rooms, if anyone had been in our Cabot Street location, there was one meeting room. There was a very large glass window. If there was a client meeting with the case manager, everyone in the building knew who it was, what was happening. There was no privacy or dignity. In this new space, we have two meeting rooms. They're just off the waiting room. They're still safe and secure, but they offer that client privacy and dignity.
This looks like the food pantry.
It
Great
is.
It
picture.
is.
Yeah, very nice. Nice refrigerator in the background. Was that at the old facility?
Those
Yeah,
were.
those were?
We
That's
were able
great.
to move several over as
This
well
is-
as acquire several new.
This is
looks
our
like you've got a loading
lovely
dock.
loading dock.
Yeah.
And our in-floor scale there,
Yeah,
where
I
we
like
can
that.
easily weigh the food that people donate.
That's beautiful. Next. Oh, and a kitchen.
And this
Teaching
is the
kitchen.
teaching kitchen, which we haven't yet mentioned.
I need lessons.
This is one of the great new features in this building. We can use it to teach our clients how to shop and cook on a budget. It's something we were partnering with the high school before and using the kitchen here. Now it's on site with us. We can also use it to break up donations that we get from the community.
And use the food off the shelf.
We can.
So
Oh,
I
this
like
is
the whole
food pantry again.
The food education program you have, and
And this is a full choice model, which
Okay.
means it looks like a little shopping, a little grocery
mini mart,
store.
yeah.
And so people can take what they want and they will use, and not just a bag full of
Stuff they don't
things
use,
that
right.
maybe they would or maybe they wouldn't.
Right.
So there's a lot of dignity, a lot of choice.
you have shopping carts.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
So a lot of volunteers
And there's
in the thrift shop
Yeah.
Very
helping
nice.
us to stock the shelves.
So all those are donated items on the
Yes.
thrift
Yes.
shop, folks. So if you want to get your things on those shelves, you know what to do. Visit their website, right? Bootstraps.org.
And
Beverly
one thing people may not
Bootstraps.org.
realize about the thrift shop, visit the website and check out the information about furniture pickups. We actually do pick up from people on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So feel free to reach out, contact the thrift shop, and we'll get you on the schedule.
Well, I can't believe it, but our time is gone. Can you believe it?
You know,
Time
and I
flies.
can, because we could talk for hours and hours and hours about what we do.
Sue Gabriel, Executive Director for Beverly Bootstrap, Heather Johnston for the donor relations. I'm so glad that you're here. I like Chief. I'm liking that, so put a word in for this.
Thank you.
Yeah. You've been watching another edition of Kiwanis Conversations. My name is John Mayos for the Kiwanis Club of Beverly, and when people ask you, what is Kiwanis, you will say, Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. We'll see you next time.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.